When music deeply moves us, it triggers the mesolimbic reward system, a deep brain neural network terminating in the ventral tegmental area and the striatum. Phylogenetically, this pathway evolved to reinforce essential biological imperatives. It is the neurological engine that ensures our survival, rewarding behaviors like caloric intake and reproduction. We also know this system can be directly hijacked by synthetic chemicals. Psychostimulant drugs force dopaminergic neurotransmission, artificially flooding the circuit to produce euphoria. But music presents a profound biological anomaly. Humans experience an identical physiological reward response to an abstract sequence of acoustic tones, a stimulus with zero biological survival value and no direct chemical influence. Because music is not a primary biological reinforcer, the brain must be doing something far more complex. It is extracting pleasure from the cognitive expectation of how those tonal sequences will unfold over time. To understand how an abstract cognitive process hacks an ancient survival circuit, we have to isolate the timeline. We need to functionally separate the anticipation of a musical climax from the consummatory experience of hearing it. Historically, separating that timeline inside a scanner has been a methodological roadblock. Music is a highly dynamic, time-sensitive auditory event, and measuring its specific neurochemical effects in real time requires two tools that rarely work together. The first half of the problem is neurochemical specificity, typically measured using positron emission tomography, or PET scans. PET scans offer high chemical precision, identifying exact neurotransmitters binding to receptors, but their limitation is speed. Operating on a timescale of minutes, PET is blind to rapid, second-by-second musical emotions. The other half of the problem is temporal resolution, where fMRI excels. fMRI tracks blood oxygenation level dependent, or BOLD signals. It can measure hemodynamic changes in the seconds, but an fMRI cannot prove exactly which neurotransmitter is driving that response. It shows us that activity is happening, but not the specific chemistry behind it. A team of researchers led by Valerie Salimpour circumvented this roadblock. They overlaid the exact chemical precision of ligand-based PET scanning with the rapid temporal agility of fMRI, allowing them to map the spatiotemporal dynamics of abstract reward for the first time. The first challenge of the experiment was operationalizing pleasure. Pleasure is highly subjective, making it difficult to pinpoint exactly when a participant hits peak emotional arousal during a continuous scan. To solve this, the researchers utilized a specific physiological biomarker, the chills, or musical frisson. The chills response is a discrete, measurable manifestation of autonomic nervous system activation. It provides a distinct physical timestamp for a peak emotional state. To ensure maximum emotional arousal, the researchers heavily screened participants, selecting individuals who consistently and reliably experience chills in response to their own self-selected, highly pleasurable music. This animated data dashboard recreates the study's measurements. During the pleasurable music conditions, participants exhibited significant autonomic increases in heart rate, respiration rate, and electrodermal skin conductance. These physiological spikes perfectly aligned with the subjective intensity of the pleasure the participants reported in real time. By grounding a subjective feeling in hard, verifiable autonomic data, the researchers established an exact temporal baseline. They now knew exactly when the pleasure peaked, giving them a map to lay over the upcoming imaging scans. Phase 1 of the imaging experiment utilized PET scanning to confirm the presence of endogenous dopamine. They used a mechanism called ligand-based competition, introducing a synthetic radiotracer known as 11C-raclopride into the subject's system. This tracer selectively binds to D2 dopamine receptors, establishing a measurable baseline. During pleasurable music listening, if the brain releases endogenous dopamine, it floods the synapse and physically displaces the raclopride from the receptors. Because the radioactive tracer is pushed out, the scanner reads this displacement as a localized decrease in binding potential. When compared to listening to neutral music, the scans revealed significant decreases in binding potential bilaterally in the caudate, putamen, and nucleus accumbens. This definitively proves that an abstract sequence of tones directly triggers the release of endogenous dopamine within the human reward system. The PET data confirmed that dopamine flooded the striatum, but due to the scanner's low temporal resolution, the data couldn't specify exactly when the dopamine fired relative to the onset of the chills.
This required phase 2, placing the exact same participants into an fMRI scanner, listening to the exact same musical excerpts. To bridge the chemical data from the PET with the temporal data from the fMRI, the researchers performed a spatial conjunction analysis. The logic works like this. Researchers took the specific voxels that registered dopamine release during the PET scan and used them as a spatial mask over the fMRI map. They then restricted their analysis of the fMRI's hemodynamic bold signal exclusively to those dopamine-verified regions. This technique neatly sidesteps the circularity problem in data analysis. By using an independent dataset, the PET scan, to define the region of interest, the subsequent fMRI analysis remains statistically rigorous. By utilizing this neuromasking, the fast-moving fMRI signal was suddenly gifted the chemical specificity it naturally lacks. The researchers could now track verified dopaminergic activity second by second. With the spatial mask in place, they mapped the bold data onto a timeline, tracking the exact moments leading up to the participants' physical chills. They defined an anticipation epoch as the 15-second window immediately preceding the physical chills response. This chart tracks the percent bold signal change over that timeline. During the anticipatory buildup, the signal spikes predominantly in the dorsal subdivision of the striatum, specifically the right caudate. But watch what happens at the exact moment the subject hits peak emotional arousal. As anticipation turns into consummation, the hemodynamic activity physically migrates brainsphenidially deeper into the brain. During the actual experience of peak pleasure, the dorsal caudate activity drops off rapidly. Simultaneously, the ventral striatum, specifically the nucleus accumbens, spikes sharply. The dopaminergic response to music is not a static, uniform glow. It's a geographically moving target that physically shifts anatomy as the emotional reward unfolds. The brain relies on distinctly separate anatomical circuits to process the anticipation of an abstract reward versus the experience of the reward itself. The researchers cross-verified this anatomical dissociation by mapping the imaging data directly against the behavioral reports provided by the subjects. They found that the total number of chills a subject experienced correlated exclusively with dopamine release in the caudate. The logic holds perfectly. A higher frequency of chills indicates repeated moments of buildup, prediction, and expectation. This directly aligns with the caudate's established role in mediating anticipation. Look at this visual representation of the behavioral regression analysis. It shows that the overall intensity of the subjective pleasure correlated exclusively with dopamine release in the nucleus accumbens, entirely independent of the caudate. Importantly, even when the chills epochs are removed from the data entirely, a participant's subjective rating of high pleasure still linearly predicts nucleus accumbens activity. The subjective behavioral data perfectly mirrors the functional imaging. The caudate tracks the frequency of our desire, while the nucleus accumbens measures the depth of our satisfaction. This spatiotemporal dissociation fits elegantly into broader evolutionary reward prediction models. The anticipatory activity in the caudate maps directly onto the wanting phase of a reward cycle. Because the dorsal striatum is highly interconnected with associative sensory regions, it actively processes the structural rules of the music. It tracks the cognitive expectations, the delayed resolutions, and the prediction cues hidden in the tonal arrangement. Conversely, the consummatory activity in the nucleus accumbens maps onto the liking phase, the euphoric fulfillment that occurs when a prediction ultimately proves accurate. This returns us to the initial biological anomaly. A sequence of purely abstract audio frequencies successfully hijacks an ancient survival circuit. Composers and musicians intuitively exploit this neurobiology. They manipulate tension, violate expectations, and delay resolutions to force the dorsal striatum into overdrive, heightening the motivation before finally granting the ventral release. We possess the unique cognitive architecture required to hack our own survival pathways, extracting profound biological rapture from the pure mathematics of sound.